Hello, the topic of my speech today is should the U.S. switch to a single payer healthcare system? In America today, there are 27.5 million people without health insurance. This is 8.5% of the population. On top of that, there are millions of Americans with poor quality health insurance where they have to pay high deductibles out of pocket, and a trip to the hospital could send them to bankruptcy. So, what are some pros and cons of a single payer healthcare system? A pro would be that everyone is covered. You don't have to worry about whether or not you have health insurance because it's something that's automatically given to you. It's also not something that's tied to your employment, so it's not something that you have to think about when switching careers or jobs, or a benefit that employers have to worry about paying and an additional cost out of their pocket. This would also lead to a healthier population. If people are able to afford to go to the doctor when they need medical assistance, they will. A lot of people avoid going to the doctor because they can't afford the cost of coverage. So they avoid treatment and try treating themselves. And this would also lead to reduced spending per capita. Some cons of switching to a single payer healthcare system are tax increases. The money for health insurance has to come from somewhere, and those who can't afford it would have to be covered somehow. And it also is an elimination of competition. I look at this as both a pro and a con. When you take health insurance companies out of medicine and there isn't a competition between health insurance companies, then the doctors can focus on care as opposed to having to deal with the bureaucracy of the health insurance companies. You also don't have different coverage based on whatever company it is that you get your health care insurance through. There's one company, it's a single payer, so the competition is eliminated. It could be seen as a pro and it can be seen as a con. What are some countries that have single payer healthcare systems? Our friends to the north, Canada, has a single payer healthcare system. Denmark, Norway, Australia, Taiwan, and Sweden. And when you think of European countries in relation to maternity and paternity leave and the cost of giving birth to a child, they're way ahead of us in the game. I have a friend who recently gave birth, and unfortunately, the baby had to spend some time in the NICU, so that was an additional cost. The cost of her birth alone out of pocket was close to $8,000. And you see stories where people give birth in European countries where there's no out of pocket cost, and they receive the same care, if not better care, than that we do in the US. Some of the benefits of single payer healthcare system: it means Americans with medical coverage. The U.S. spends more on healthcare than any other country, yet is one of the only few developed nations that does not provide universal coverage. This is quoted from Single Payer Systems Likely to Save Money in the UNS. Um, um, Americans don't have medical coverage, and it's something that you should have. Same way that you have auto insurance, it's not something that's tied to your employer. It's something that you have to have. It's just a benefit that is out there to you. And then a benefit to medical professionals: if there is a single payer healthcare system, they get paid quicker. There's no back and forth with the insurance companies of what they will pay, what they believe the cost of the coverage that was the service that was received should cost. So there's no negotiation between the medical professional and the insurance company on the cost of services, and it just is, the cost is what it is. It will lead to doctors being more enabled to provide adequate care in the treatment that they feel is needed when they don't have to look to insurance companies for authorization. So what happens when a person is underinsured or has no insurance? The cost of care goes up for the rest of us to make up the difference. Having the U.S. switch to a single-payer healthcare system and a universal healthcare system, it does have some cons and it does have some stigma attached to it, but overall, it would be a benefit.